Yeah.
Mm.
See, it does affect you, and I'm telling you, Zarina, although I was coming to England, I thought maybe life would be so good.
Oh,
Sort
yeah.
of thing. Like,
Mm.
yippee! In my mind, of course, not expressing it like in my body language. It's like, oh my word, I'm going to be living with my parents now. Everything is going to be great, fantastic. Little did I know.
Another thing a lot of us experience is because your parents, they're in the country by themselves, right? You haven't got the extended family like you have in Jamaica or the Caribbean, right? And then you've got financial problems. The financial difficulties have been continuing from the Caribbean until now. And in Britain, you're on your own, right? You're on your own. And so everything is, and you know, in Britain, everything is, it's expensive and you get a limited salary, even though those days they had more jobs, but the salaries weren't high. And so you find the Caribbean people, in my case, Jamaican, and they have their whole family, and the extended family is large. And you find that anything has to stretch for 100 people, right? And then you're in the house, you're under pressure. Turn off the light, turn off the water, don't use this, you can't go there. And you see the other children going on holiday. You see the other children getting a new jacket and new fashionable boots, or what is it, fashionable camera type thing, or whatever, the jackets and the nice trousers.
As I said, as an immature person at the time, thinking that everything in my life is going to change for the better, it's going to be all sunshine.
Yeah.
Not realizing what we were going to be expecting. In fact, I can say, I'm just going to just say that it was worse than actually living in Guyana. Living with my parents, I'm being honest with you, I'm not going to lie. I think God, I knew God actually was keeping us in a place less traumatic than our parents. I mean, I'm being honest, both my parents are dead now. When we reached, at the age of 30, I was 13, my brother was 15, and my sister was 12. 15 and 12. I was the middle child at that time. There's a younger sibling. When we came out of the airport, do you know what my dad said to me? See if you can guess.
You're gonna behave yourself, otherwise you get beaten or something like that, West Indian.
The same thing that my aunt said to me when my mom exit Guyana, wait till you get home, I'm gonna do for you. My dad repeated the same thing to me at Heathrow Airport. You can just imagine how I felt. It was like, oh my gosh. I can remember looking at my other two siblings and thinking, what is going to happen to us? We're not saying anything, but you know, body language, eyes.
Yeah.
We look at each other and we saw, oh my, basically, if words were spoken, it would be, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to us? What have we done? That's basically what we probably would have said verbally if we could have spoken at that time. And I can remember thinking, how come he said the same thing? And that was his sister we were living with. Obviously, she told him, oh, Natasha was this, because I would actually verbalize how I felt in terms of, I used to act out my feelings. So I used to act very badly in Guyana. He would probably write him letters. So when I came to English, like, I was the worst child I ever had. So I'm already traumatized by my experiences in Guyana. I'm now coming to live with my parents for the first time, so to speak. And my parents are like a living hell. So I said to myself, you know what? If this is the case, I don't care. So I even started to act reckless. I was a very rebellious child. I didn't care what my parents said to me, what they did to me. Eventually, my parents realized that no matter what they said, no matter what they did, Natasha was going to do her own thing. I mean, my mom shut down completely. She didn't have any interaction with any of the three of us, apart from our youngest sibling that she had in England. So, of course, we came into a situation that was worse than it was. At least we had an extended family in Guyana.
But in England, you might have a limited extended family, but the truth is there is isolation here. You're on your own. And people don't have time for you, so you're on your own.
It was mom, dad, and my siblings in a house.
That's it. And another thing, in England, you can't run around freely like you can in Jamaica, in the Caribbean, because you got busy roads, you got the people, the culture, everything's different. You make up a lot of noise, you don't watch, they arrest you, or will come out of the whole group of them and beat you up or something. You stay home.
And what you just mentioned something about limited space. So when we came to England, in Guyana, we had lots of space.
You're used to running, you can walk from one yard to the other, and all of that is your family land because the people are living up there. But no, you're in one house.
One house, no space, one little backyard, and it was like, what is this? I can remember saying to my mom, what is this? Is this what you brought us to? Send me back. Would you believe it? The place I didn't want to return, I'm actually demanding my parents to send me back to Guyana. And for that reason, I will never take you back. That was a punishment, I'm telling you it was, because I wanted to return to Guyana, the place that I said I would never return to. But because I could see immediately that it wouldn't work. At that stage, at 13, we can sense it, or what my dad had said, how the setup was. It was not going to work. And remember, I don't know, I'm saying remember, I was a 13-year-old going on 25 in my mind. Because in the Caribbean and in South America, you do things that are like physical things around the house and around.
Yeah, you have to do the chores. You have to sweep up the yard. You have to clean out the kitchen, wash the plate. You have to cook. And then your mum will give you the money and tell you to get the shopping. And she got 1 trillion something and a tenner maybe. And if you forget one, or don't bring back one and make the money straight, you're gonna get licked.
So just think about that, Serena, that basic issue where for years, cooking, cleaning, doing the shopping for the whole household, for other neighbors who were too old and weren't able to do that. We came to England, as far as I'm concerned, I could do anything. Well, of course I couldn't, because I was a child, I wasn't working, I had to do my parents, but I could do many things, practical things. So my mom started to treat us like we were babies, because she wasn't, didn't have a size. I said to her, who do you think we are, babies? I said, no, I'm not a baby. So I'm an adult, I'm a grown, woman, and my mom could not connect. And we had a disconnection, the siblings, the three of us and our parents, and it was absolutely a living hell, living at home. It to a stage, I'm actually fast forwarding, where I can remember saying at the age of 15, going on 16, I was in high school, I was still functioning. You have to. Still surprised by the whole experience, realizing that it's
in my case, I would just keep quiet because everyone was bigger than me. They're all older than me. So I couldn't just act how I wanted. Otherwise, I'd get hit by the whole family because I was a child. They were bigger than me.
I'm telling you, Serena, all I knew is that this thing is not going to work. And I was very unhappy. I was unhappy living with this aunt in Guyana. And I was even worse in terms of unhappiness living with my parents. And I could not believe that. You know what it's like being with your parents finally and realizing that this is the worst situation that you could ever be in. Can you imagine as a young person, I'm a teenager now, with all these hormones racing through me. And of course, I'm getting angry and angry. I can remember.
And another thing in England, you have to watch how you express anger. Otherwise, they put you in ball stall and lock you up and carry on whatever it is they do to people.
Hold that moment. I was the age of 15, going on 16, and I came to the point when I was in high school, in the O level. It was O levels those time in my time, not GCSEs.
We had O levels as well. I
was in my O level years, the last year in high school, about to do my O levels. But the thing is, what I have to say that we were, all of us, academically very bright. For some reason, I say some reason, I believe it's God, we still kept at a certain academic level. So our academic level didn't drop, no matter how we were traumatized or all the negative things we were experiencing, we were still functioning, so-called, at a high level. The teacher would say, oh, Natasha, you're very good, or whatever, you're so bright. But the system in Guyana was a high educational system. So we came
because they taught step by step, whereas here they leave gaps out.
So that helped us because when we were in school, we could actually disguise how we were feeling, as well as, because, you know, what goes on in the house, in a black house, stays in the house. So you never talked about what was going on in your house. So we would go to school.
Well, as children, you just don't. I've noticed that.
But as I said, I was at the age of 15 going on 16 and sensing that I cannot live in this house anymore. I can remember just talking to my sister one academic year. We were very close at the time. I said to her, I can't live here. Either something's going to happen, and I think something disastrous, either with my parents or me. I cannot live here. And I can remember sitting in the bedroom, because there was no interaction with my parents. There's none. Basically, my mom would go to work, come back, eat her dinner, go upstairs, get up in the morning, go to work. That was it. There was no communication. I don't blame her. My behavior was so bad that I'm telling you, I wouldn't even like someone doing that now. You know, my behavior was bad. But
yeah, because a child growing up angry, just act out anger, and the parents would just get on with their job.
I was the most angriest child I could ever imagine to be. I'm telling you, you can't. The thing is, you know me now as an adult, but you can't even imagine. But I'm sure you can.
Well, yeah, a lot of anger. Yeah,
very angry as a teenager, and because I felt that I was shortchanged. That this is the period. I can remember saying to God, because I grew up in church. I grew up where every Sunday and Thursday night we have to attend church. So I grew up knowing about God and all that. I can remember saying to God, this is the parents that you've given us. These are the questions I used to ask him. I used to be thinking, God, you can't really love us because look what's happening to us. I can remember saying these things out loud or in my mind. And all I can remember, it came to a point where I thought, God said, I can't stand this. It has to happen. And as I was thinking that, I don't know what I was going to do, Zarina, I'm being honest with you. But I knew that either something had to happen. I could not stay in my parents' house. That's how bad it was. All of a sudden, one day, it was just approaching the summer holidays. A cousin who we knew, who was born in Guyana, came to live in England when she was very young. But I think we knew a little bit of her. They were living in Bristol, but my parents never took us many places. It was just like to the shop, whatever. We just didn't have a good relationship. She turned up at our house. I'm 15 going on 16. She's about 20 or something like that. She came to Bristol, but that's, I mean, looking back now, I know it was God, but at the time, I just thought she turned up. I remember she came in and was, oh my word, we haven't seen you for many years. And then I burst into tears and I said to her, I told her exactly how I felt, what we had experienced. And I said to her, I cannot live with my parents. I begged her, myself and my sister, can we come with you? Can we come and live with you in Bristol? That's how bad it was. I said to her, can you go and beg my dad or beg our dad so we can come with you? It was a summer holiday, just approached like a week coming out. And she goes, she sat, and I could see the sadness on her face. I mean, I'm telling you, it was desperation. I'm telling you, it's real raw. It was, I had to leave my parents because something terrible was going to happen. And I wanted to walk. She went down the stairs, spoke to my dad. It was like the longest time. I'm sure it was only 5 minutes, but it was like myself and my sister.
Yeah, because you're waiting, you want to hear the answer.
What's going to happen? Anyway, she came back and she goes, Uncle Joe said that you guys can come and stay with me for the entire summer holidays. Serena, the relief, I'm telling you, I felt. I can remember me and my sister, I think we burst into tears at the time. Thank her, hugging her, we couldn't wait to go. And she goes, okay, this is what's going to happen. She told us, I'm going to meet you at this day at the, it was the coach. I can remember going to Victoria, getting the coach. Here, get this time, coach. I'm gonna meet you this time at the coach station. Because Bristol is a very small city. And very, I don't know what it's like now, but in terms of the community, everyone knew each other at that time. Anyway, so a week later, myself and my sister, we were boarding the coach at Victoria Station going to Bristol. We spent the entire summer in her. She had her own flat. She was working full time. Can you imagine, Serena, the mental ease?
Well, yeah, you release out of the pressure. You're not in danger. You don't have to keep silent. You have the house to yourself to talk freely.
She was going out to work 5 days a week. Me and my sister, we had the whole apartment to ourselves. We were going around, walking around. It was absolute. It was like let's just say from 0 to 15. That's 15 years. Have this tension in us. I'm able to just have this temporary window of release. It was fun. Now, the time is approaching for us to return home.
Oh
Now?
dear.
Oh dear.
Now that's gonna be problem.
Very nice. All I can remember, me and my sister looking at each other thinking,
Oh Lord.
don't want to go back home. But of course, we have to be begged out our cousin again. Can we live with you? She goes, Natasha, you cannot, is this not like that in England? You can't just go anyone and live. There are rules, social services. She went through the whole work.
Yeah.
She goes,
But children don't care about that. But the adults know the system.
yeah. So she goes, I don't want to get into trouble with Uncle Joe and my mom, all the
You could even take her to court.
or whatever. She goes, you have to go back. But she goes, if things get worse, you will have to speak to the school about it. And it was like the first time someone told us something that we didn't even imagine to do.
Well, yeah, because you don't know as a child. And no one's telling you.
We came from Guyana, living there for 13 years. That's the foundation here. We don't know anything about England as such. We were living in a house, just us and our parents. That was it. School, home, school, home, school, home. That was it. So we returned to our parents' home after the end of the summer holiday from my cousin. And I can remember that journey home. I mean, can you imagine the coach journey from Bristol? I mean, it was hours.
What was that 3-hour drive?
I'm telling you. And I can remember saying to my sister, if my dad says anything to me, that's it. I mean, that's the person I was. And of course, as we returned, he goes, huh? You guys think you're going to be going back anywhere? Huh? Whatever he said, I can remember, and I just reeled out a whole heap of foul language to him. He said to me, get out of this house. I said, good. I didn't even unpack the bag I brought from Bristol. I pick up the bag. This was the next day this happened, actually. My cousin had given myself and my sister £10 each. I went straight back to Victoria Coach Station, got on the coach, and went back to my cousin in Bristol, just turned up on her.
Did you go?
I told her exactly what happened. I said, I don't want to live at my parents' house.
Natasha, did you go by yourself or did you go with your sister?
My sister didn't come, but she came to find me after thinking I'm just walking around the street. I didn't tell her what I was doing. I just picked my bag up and I just left the house. She didn't know where I was going, what I was doing. But she came to find me, she couldn't, and she returned home. Anyway, so I went to my cousin back again in Bristol, and she said, Natasha, this was like a Saturday. So I had Saturday there, Sunday there. On Monday, she goes, you have to return to London, go straight to the school and speak to the headmaster. Tell him exactly what's been happening.
Okay.
Because she goes, I know you're going to do something bad, and I don't want to know that you did something to hurt yourself. I don't want to have that on my conscience. Go to the school, tell them what's happened. I could another journey back on the coach, just how on my own. And I can remember feeling ashamed, embarrassed, because I mean, don't remember the culture of the Caribbean, South America, where you don't talk to people about what's happening in your family. I'm not thinking I'm going to talk to strangers, my head teacher, about what's happening, but you have to. So I'm sort of like panicking now. I go off the coach. I mean, it was like another hour to the school because from Victoria to where I lived, school and all of that was far. And I can remember I went to the school. It was like
with your bags and stuff.
No school uniform on, just with my ordinary clothes, with my rucksack, whatever I had. I remember knocking on the headmaster's door, and he said, "Come in." And I can remember I walked into his room and I was shaking. I felt I was going to faint. That's how I felt. I was going to pass out. He stood up. He goes, "Just a minute, Natasha. Sit down. You don't have to say anything. Your sisters told us everything that's happened."
Oh.
Arena's arena. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't have to explain to this head teacher anything. He put me on the chair because I was going to pass out, because I was just pent up, whatever. So like nervous, angry, every possible negative emotion.
Every emotion going on.
I can remember he said to me, "Come and lay down," because there was like when you were sick, there's like a sick room or whatever. He said to me,
they have a sick bay somewhere, normally near the headmaster office and the secretary, school secretary, and that's how they have it.
sick room, told me to lie down because he saw I was faint, I was going to pass out. And he said to me when I was lying down, he said, I've rang social services. They're coming at the end of the day to speak to you and your sister. You need to tell them exactly what is happening. And he left me, said, don't worry, I will support you, the school will support you. That was at 12. The social worker came like at the end of the school day because my sister was already in the school doing her class. And he said to me, Natasha, you don't have to go to your classes. I said to him, I can't go to my classes. You know, so it was like another hours before the end of the school day. I can remember the social worker came, and I can remember I saw her, and she was a Black social worker, female. And I can remember, no, listen to this. I can remember thinking, Zarina, if she thinks that she's going to look at me and tell me to return home, she's got something else coming in my mind.
Okay. Yeah.
I was a very feisty, I was feisty. I was like a fighter. I'm telling you, I still am to a certain extent, but in a different way now.
Oh, yeah.
She saw my face, and I think she read my mind.
Okay.
I said to her, I am not returning home. Before she said anything, she said, okay, no one's going to force you to go home, Natasha. You know how they speak to you, but I'm you don't know. She goes, and she said, what has been happening? So we sat and talked for felt like hours. Anyway, she goes, we've arranged for you and your sister to stay in a temporary home until we can sort out this matter. So she took us to a temporary home. It was in the same borough that we lived in, but of course, far from home. And I'm telling you, Zarina, we stayed there for 3 weeks, and it was like we were on holiday. I never knew what a holiday was like until I was nearly 16. I know some other people have experienced similar things where they've never been on holiday or whatever, but I never knew what it felt like to be relaxed. Apart from when I went to my cousins in Bristol. So we were staying in this temporary children's home for 3 weeks. And I can remember people were saying to us, oh, children's home are horrible. You guys are going to be treated like
well, yeah, because that's what we think, because the stories we hear.
Stories that we were hearing when we were in the temporary place. Oh, you guys going to be molested. This is going to happen.
Yeah.
3 times to you. God had us in the palm of his hands.
Watching over you.
Number 2, we were very confident individuals, still traumatized, but still functioning.
One thing you need to know, because you were 3 West Indian children, you're 3 Caribbean children together, so nobody wouldn't trouble you because they know what they're going to get. But if you're 1 female, that's a whole different argument. You have to be careful.
And you've touched on something. In Guyana, the 3 of us was a force. I'm telling you, if anyone dared to touch me, my brother was going to deal with them. If anyone dared to touch my younger sister, me and my brother will deal with them. So basically, we got away with, a lot of things in Guyana. People didn't touch us. Although I was in many fights anyway. So we stayed in a temporary place. Then after the 3 weeks, we were put in a permanent children's home. Zarina, have you ever stayed in a hotel in Dubai? I mean, I'm exaggerating, but I'm just trying to tell you as a child, that's how I felt. I've been to Dubai, I've stayed in the best hotels. I'm telling you, looking back, it was like, oh my word. We were looked after so well in that. We stayed there for 3 years, from 15 to 18, stayed in the same children's home. At that time, there was like a family who looked after, were in charge of the home, mom and dad, a husband and wife and their children. They had their separate quarters. And then there was the children's home, and there was children and other workers working in the children's home. I can remember when they first met us, the husband and wife said to myself and my sister, what are you guys doing here? You guys are good.
Yeah, because West Indian children, they're taught to do everything, and he must do everything. He must have manners. He must do this. He must do that. So they're looking on you, wondering what's going on. Culture's different.
And they had children who were slightly older than us. And I can remember they saying to us, you guys shouldn't be here. That's for bad for kids. And I can remember my sister used to laugh. And I can remember they said to us, the husband and wife who ran the children's center, that was all God. God put us in a place, because I've heard terrible stories of people.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's real. But for us, it was like, oh my gosh. They said to us, You guys are so good. You could come and go as you please.
Because you're big, yeah.
Can you imagine? You can cook your own dinner because you guys could cook better than all of us undercooks. So we might just will be in the kitchen cooking our dinner or don't want to cook if you didn't want to. We had the key to go in and out of the home. You know, I was 15 going on 16, but we were so mature. Remember, we could do so many things. Cook.
Well, yeah, because you grew up in a different environment.
I mean, he said, look, guys, I don't think we're going to have to worry about the two of you. So we had freedom. And it was like, God allowed us for 3 years of mental,
mental freedom, not just physical freedom. You need mental freedom. That's what's causing a lot of issues amongst a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're not mentally free. And so they carry all of that through the whole life. And as soon as anything happens in the home, like they have a disagreement with their wife or husband, and it's big old fight and thing, no resolve because they've never resolved whilst growing up. Yes.
You see, that is the case. And the thing is, for those 3 years, I have to say, thank God, looking back now, that he had us in the palm of his hands. He allowed us to he took us to a place where we can have to recharge, to regain whatever piece of life that
you need peace of mind. You need to feel safe to express what you're thinking and feeling and have an understanding person there to guide you safely.
And I'm saying
a lot of Black people didn't have that.
I will say this. I mean, we grew up really thinking white people were racist, which some people are. You know, I'm not going to say it's not true. But
oh, yeah.
So we were anticipating that when we go into this home, we're going to be treated badly. We're going to be looked down as Black kids. I am telling you, Zarina, the total opposite. We were the role models. In fact, we have to keep living up to a standard for the other children that was there. It was like, oh my God.
Because the way the husband and wife, the managers spoke about you.
Yeah.
So you had to keep up appearance, which was good.
Well, you know what? I say that because if no one knew about this type of experience that we went through, myself personally, and not seeing you now, they would never. This is the first time, Doreen, I've mentioned this to you. You've never heard this story before.
I mean, yeah, a lot of revelation there. I remember hearing a bit about when you stayed in the home, but I didn't hear it all from the beginning. But it explains a lot. You can imagine. I used to have this thing about identity. I wanted to be born in Jamaica because I wanted to go to Jamaica and have fun, or be seen and accepted as a Jamaican because I wanted to be amongst Jamaica and have fun, or this thing about, you know, being out of Britain and being happier in Jamaica. Not really, as a child, you don't know about the issues like work and security and things like that. So all of that emotion had an effect on me about wanting to be something or someone different. And it came out in my issues with wanting to wear Asian clothes and things like that. It's all related.
I know.
Yeah.
It's your upbringing, it's your environment. It does have an effect on you, what people say to you, whether it's a family or whoever it is, friends. But the thing is, Zarina, looking back, you know, I am very thankful that, you know, all those experiences made me who I am right now. I have to say that I'm a fighter. I'm a fighter. I mean, I when I was very young, I used to fight physically, and then I've changed it. It's now actually on another level. I don't fight physically anymore. I fight with my mind and my
psychologically. Yeah.
So I've changed the actual method of fighting. You know, but the thing is, what I want to say is that those memories, those journeys, actually really was the beginning. Going to that home, the beginning of a healing process. It was, because it gave us the opportunity, myself and my sister, to actually have a time to process what's happened to us.
To think things through
and
have adults or someone there that are open enough to talk about things.
Yeah.
Not everybody has that. So a lot of people there, they might be in their families, or some of them might even be in homes, and not necessarily all the management of the homes or all their teachers or even the families people live with. They don't really think through to process through things that have happened or what they think or how they feel. because they've never experienced that before.
Exactly. I can remember.
There's a lot of you're psychologically keeping everything under cover. You're looking around you don't have a sense of security.
There was a stigma about living in children's homes, so we wouldn't say anything to anyone. In fact, I don't think many people knew. And I have to say, at the age of 18, we were given our own flat. Would you believe it? To live in. And I have a funny thing to say about that. Because we were so embarrassed to tell people that we were living in a children's home and explain how come we were in our own flat, we never shared with many people this situation. But when I was at university, and my friends, we were talking about going out, to parties and to blues and all things like that. They used to say they would be jumping out of their parents' house, get out of the window, trying to get back into the window.
Yeah, some people, yeah.
I mean, my sister, we're so embarrassed to tell. We don't want to tell people that, we had our own apartment. We were just going to these places, walking out of our own apartment, walking back in, but we didn't want to share that, so we have to keep that. Would you believe it? That had their own apartment. We had to keep that quiet because we felt embarrassed. So people said to us, how come you guys didn't have...
how come? Because you wouldn't have been allowed. Yes.
Exactly. I would have been the same like my friends were experiencing. We wouldn't be allowed to go anywhere. I'm telling you, we'd be locked in the house. You're not going anywhere. That was the rule.
Well,
so
yeah.
We just sit there and just smile and just saying things. Why are you not saying anything? She said, no, we just want to hear your story. Because if we open our mouth, then everything will come out. We didn't want that to happen. So the freedom, well, I must say it was a lot of freedom that, I took advantage of it, but that's another time. But really and truly, getting back to the point of Guyana, yesterday, my daughter said, Mom, we really have to make a trip to Guyana.
Well, yeah, because time has moved on and you need to see some of the older people.
Yeah.
And, when you hear the stories again, they'll probably fill in details that you weren't even aware of.
Yeah.
And that is healing in and by itself.
I am telling you. So my youngest daughter is already planning a trip for both of us to go to Guyana. So sometime very soon. So I'll keep you guys updated. But you know what? It took a long time from the age of 13. I still haven't been back as yet. I'm in my late 50s. But you know what?
But when you go, you'll open your eyes, and yes, it'll bring back memories. But it's a time for processing and healing.
That's it.
And not everything will have a happy ending, as they say. But the fact is, because you're able now to process things in a different way. When you go back, you can revisit and then process, and things change. There is a subtle change, a difference. You feel different about yourself. Yeah.
I mean, I must say, it was great encouragement hearing my daughter say, Mom, we've got to go. I'm going to come with you. So I would just like to just end the podcast here and saying that, you know what, that things do change. They do. It takes a while, but I'm so thankful where I'm right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sort of like, looking back, it was all worth it, and it had to happen to make me the person I am now. So,
well, yeah. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that experience to be able to help others with or process your own, cope with new problems that arise. Yeah.
You just said that because when I was growing up, in my 20s, people talk about experiences at home, and I was able to share and discuss things with them because I'd experienced similar things. I was able to encourage them and say, you know what?
No, even when when you were talking to me about things like marriage, and you were talking with me, and that helped me process a lot of my own stuff and things that were going on in my life at that time as well. Yeah.
It all helps. So basically, whatever your mess becomes your message.
Yeah.
So I really, I've come a long way. I have come a long way. It's time to return. I feel like, like someone returning to Africa or somewhere,
Yeah. It's great that you've been to Africa. Now you can go back to your home where you were born.
Exactly. And the thing is, I see my family, my cousins on Facebook all the time. Every day they're posting things, and I just sort of like distance myself from it, But I think my daughter said, Mom, you need to start reconnecting again. Time. So guys, we're coming to the end of the podcast. I thought I'd share that memory and with Serena, and I'm feeling really good. Even actually at the end of this conversation.
It's a resolving, because as you rethink and go through it, you can bring all your experiences and new thought strategies into it, and it makes a whole lot of difference. You release, you relax, you start responding to problems differently. Yeah.
Definitely.
And you feel different. You feel different in your body. You look upon yourself differently.
And the thing is, and another encouraging words that don't just because something happens to you at a certain time, it doesn't last. Because I mean, those things happened to me when I was in my teens. It does affect you. It doesn't stop. I mean, it's a process. But the fact is, I actually saw myself living in a situation for my entire life in a negative situation, but I didn't. I had seasons of changes. Life is about seasons. So I've experienced it. I'm in my late 50s. I experienced so many different seasons in my life, and I can look back and say, I am so thankful for all my seasons.
Well, yeah. When you're a child, you can't see that, but when you're older, you can think back through that.
Oh yeah.
Some people, I won't say everyone, it depends on how traumatized they are, because some people are living in their trauma, not being aware of seeing outside of it. Yeah.
Well, I'm so thankful I was able to process that information, that experience, and I must say, God has given me my youngest daughter. We have so many conversations, and she helps me to process information as well. I have to give her some respect and some thankfulness with that as well, because she talks through me. Because she's 25, she's old enough to have conversations with me. So conversations continue even at the end of the podcast. So guys, we're going to end the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.